Hi everyone. So I was telling you about the living conditions of a lot of these children here in these Dara. Today I'm with my colleague Elaj, who's behind the camera. We wanted to show you just a bit. Last night was the first heavy rain of the rainy season. The situation's only going to get worse. I just want to give you a bit of a tour of what these Daras look like for these children. Come with me. So we're not going to film the children really, but here they're studying. These kids come from throughout the region to come to a Quranic school. The problem is that a lot of these children are exploited, forced to beg for money. The lucky ones who are able to raise enough funds get to stay here in this location, but many times kids are kicked to the street if they can't raise enough money. This is important. So, this seems to be a well. The problem with wells like these is that if you cover them, it creates an environment for, bacteria to breed and other sorts of parasites, so you really have to keep them open. The problem with these sort of wells is that when it rains and debris and other foliage gets in, can you see how the water on top is still? So it creates standing pools. This is breeding ground for mosquitoes. So what I want you guys to pay attention to is that, the biggest threats to anyone, particularly unvaccinated children or children not on malaria medicine, in San Luis is yellow fever and malaria. This Dara, this place where these kids are living, is really a breeding ground for these infectious diseases. And while we may not be able to, conduct an inoculation campaign, while we don't necessarily have the funds to provide all these kids with malaria medicine, we can assist these Daras with providing more suitable living conditions that are further away from still pools, from having water where mosquitoes are breeding in their bedrooms. There's a lot that we can do, and it doesn't take too much money or time. This is where some of the kids are sleeping. I don't know if you can see, but there's no roof, there's blankets. The floor is extremely moist. This is after just one rain. The floor is completely wet. What happens with the rainy season is that a lot of the water will pool. This is breeding grounds for mosquitoes that carry yellow fever and malaria. So this is part of the living conditions for some of the kids, and the others are sleeping right here. You can see that these roofs, all the water gets in. So there's holes here from the sides. It's just reeds. So as the rainy season continues, this situation is only going to get worse and worse. Hi everyone, we're now at another Dara, just down the road. We were just speaking to some of the people here, and we learned that last night no one was able to sleep. So we were talking about these difficult conditions, not just about the exposure to infectious diseases, but even on the more mundane level. They were standing all night because the water was so high in their sleeping chambers, which I'll show you in a bit, that, they couldn't sleep. This rain is not a one-off occurrence. It's going to be happening every day now for months. So I just want you to think about that. And remember, these are young kids, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're here in the second Dara. This is this over here is the toilet area, completely exposed. There's about قديش أولاد ساكن هون؟ قديش Talibe؟ أيوة مش هون؟ قديش شخص هون؟ الشخص هم خارجون سيعودون بس يعني في الليلة قديش 20 30 40. Wow. So just speaking with the man in control, 40 kids are living here, okay? 40 kids. Now let's go to the sleeping chambers where the 40 kids are living. So I want you guys to imagine 40 kids sleeping here in these conditions. Please come in. Let me be a bit quiet because someone's actually sleeping because they couldn't sleep all night. There's mats on the floor. The floor is moist. In parts, it's broken apart concrete. In parts, it's mud. But I want you to pay attention. The roofs. These are the easiest things to replace. A roof that doesn't have holes. Because the problem is, again, besides for the infectious diseases, the water comes in and floods. So you cannot sleep. And just think about all the other infections besides for malaria, besides for yellow fever, that happen when a human being sleeps in still water. Pay attention, all of the roofs are full of holes. These roofs are useless. What needs to be done, it's a practical first step. Obviously changing a system is impossible, but what can be done is that these tin roofs can be replaced with roofing that will actually prevent water from leaking in, and the floors can be cemented. This would stop still water, meaning less chances of getting bitten by mosquitoes, less exposure to yellow fever and to malaria, and also preventing a lot of the kids from getting these mites, these scabies, that a lot of times get mixed in with the mud and the mattresses. Not in all cases can you get scabies from damp mattresses or muddy mattresses, but for certain strains that are prevalent here in Senegal, a lot of the materials are infected. And with cement flooring, you can make sure that these chambers where 40 kids are sleeping are much more safe. You can make sure they're much more sanitary. Right now, that is completely impossible. These are some other shelters, I think, where the older boys live. Mm-hmm. A bit more organized, but if you can come in and see, the floor is completely dirt. Completely dirt floors. So when it starts to rain, these areas are going to flood. These areas are going to turn into mud. When we have more rain like we had last night, the situation here is going to be unlivable, but it will be livable because this is the reality for over 100,000 Talibe here in Senegal. This is their reality. Whether they can sleep, whether they're exposed to mosquitoes, whether they have access to clean water is irrelevant. This is where they'll be, standing or sleeping, hungry or fed. This is the life of Talibes in Senegal, and it's heartbreaking. It truly is. The situation is just, one of my colleagues actually who's filming was telling me that every time it rains, everyone in Saint Louis is crying because they know exactly how the Talibes are sleeping or not sleeping. So from just after one night, we see so much, of the mud being moved. The beds are soaking wet. The mosquito nets are soaking wet. The walls are made out of reed. This is just from one night. I can't even imagine what this Dara and the one we went to before are going to look like by the end of the rainy season.